How do you handle the criticism some blacks make that shows of this nature should do more than just entertain, and you're not living up to the purposes and the goals of the wider adventures blacks should be pursuing?
Well, I could say that I resent those kinds of comments, but I'm just not into criticizing other Black people. I think that's the most sinful thing a Black person can do. And in regard to a Black person who would raise one finger about something as harmless as Soul Train, with all of the evils and all of the oppression and all of the disparity that exists in this country, is more than misguided. But because I love Black people so much, I'll use the term misguided, and I'll let you use your imagination to say what I think of a person who wastes time criticizing what Black people are doing instead of spending his time trying to help Black people in the way that he knows best. The way I know best to help Black people, since I'm not a preacher nor an educator, is to try to project positive images of them and entertainment that they want. To me, is quite a luxury, because there's been so little in this country given or made available to Blacks that they want. The person who dare criticize a Soul Train probably does not criticize NBC, ABC, and CBS because they've never had a Black anchorman. That's a serious problem as far as I'm concerned, not how many records we play or how well Black kids can dance. That's not what we're trying to say. We're trying to say that we deserve our kind of entertainment. We deserve a choice of entertainment. And if we're getting numbers, that means we're giving people something that they want. Mm-hmm. And with all due respect to the misguided person that might make such a comment, it's unfortunate.
Yes, that is Don Cornelius. I was reminded last week, I was talking with Dr. Robin Smith, that he took his life, death by suicide, which I hadn't remembered until she mentioned it, because she's doing a book with Courtney B. Vance on Black male pain. You know, this invisible ache is what it's called. And I thought about you coming on today and your documentary on Black men. So I was like, Don Cornelius, and it was almost like weirdly in alignment with the Dr. Umar, like in a juxtaposition to the Dr. Umar. And you basically said what Don Cornelius said, and gave us action items: context, compassion, and challenge. I was like, I forgot I had this. This wasn't even on my cut sheet, but I just asked Alex, and he was nimble enough to pull this for me to play it. Thoughts and prayers. Kevin Powell is here. It's the Karen Hunter Show. Welcome back.
I'm happy to be here. And, chills, because, I was very sad. I mean, Karen, I've said this on your show before. I've battled depression huge chunks of my life, and I was very affected when Don Cornelius committed suicide, just like I was affected when Twitch from the Ellen Show committed suicide. The Black manhood film we have coming out in June of next year, when it's called When We Free the World, is dedicated to two young Black men. One of the young Black men actually committed suicide himself, and I knew him since he was a baby. He's the son of a great friend of mine. And so I think about mental health a lot with our people, not just Black men, but all of us, but certainly the brothers. And I mean, it's obvious to me that we have to talk. We have to talk. We have to talk. We have to get out of these tired old definitions that Black men should not talk about things that have hurt us. You were talking about what happened to us on those on the block, on the slave auctions. I mean, it's we don't talk about these things, or we'll talk about, I'm speaking specifically for a second, the Black men that I know, we'll talk about sports. We'll talk about money. And if we happen to be a heterosexual straight brother like I am, we'll talk about women. We'll talk about sex. And that's kind of the totality of our conversations. But then we'll shut down otherwise, and I think about this every single day, because it's like, it's a fight to be healthy and whole in a world that doesn't really want you to be healthy and whole. And as men, you were talking about how we will say, well, they do it, we do it. I mean, I think we have to be really clear about our value system, no matter what race we are, what culture identity we are. But specifically for Black people, I want a value system that says that I can speak about how I feel. I can be vulnerable. I can cry. I can express those things. I was looking at Caleb Williams, the quarterback for the USC football team, the other day, and there was all this debate raging on social media when he lost the game, and he literally leaped into the stands and ran to his mother and father and just started crying. He's like, people were calling him less than a man, quote unquote. I'm like, that's actually a healthy thing for him to express how he was feeling, that he was sad, that he was hurt. What's wrong with that? And I just think that our film, I can't wait till people see it, Karen. It's going to have a study guide, resource guide for brothers and everyone who's watching it. And it really goes deep into mental health. And the recurring theme throughout is that Black men have got to talk about what's going on with us. And as successful as Don Cornelius was, he killed himself, which is profound when you think about it. as successful as he was,
Mm.
as impactful as Soul Train was, you know, worldwide. I didn't know how big the show was. I mean, I used to think folks just watch Soul Train or they watched American Bandstand. I had no idea how many people were watching Soul Train, studying Soul Train until I became an adult. You know, but somewhere, and I know he had some sort of illness as well, and that may have precipitated it, but
Yeah.
you know, it's something there led him to take his life. And I just think about that a lot. Like we have to want to live. We have to want to live, and we've got to want to live in a way that's different. You use the word abundance a lot, you know, and it's not just about tremendous wealth. I mean, it's like, you know, one of the things I learned from Bell Hooks, she wasn't a multimillionaire, but this is a sister, a person, a woman who owned property in Kentucky and Ohio and New York State. You know, she bought herself a car that she wanted always, a red BMW, if I remember the color correctly. And it wasn't because she was materialistic, but she's like, I just want to have a happy life. And these things bring me joy. I want to own something. I want to have something that brings me some joy amidst all the stuff that I deal with. And I think we got to fight for that. We got to fight for our joy, Karen. We got to fight for that and fight for that abundant life that you always talk about.
Well, it starts with how we communicate our displeasure, you know, the things that happen, because it rains on all of us. Everybody, you don't get out of this experience without having some hardship and some trauma and some pain, but it's how you put voice to it, because words become flesh. Words
That's
become
right.
flesh. So
That's right.
even words that and I have this last few years, I've been real careful about the things that I say about other people, and I want to be true about it. And even if I talk about somebody, it's not really about them. It's the archetype, you know, it's the type of person that we need to be careful of. It's not them. They're just an example, a proxy for that. So you know, I'm very clear. Gossip for the sake of gossip is not happening, you know, except on Friday. You know, well, we might talk about Will Smith on Friday. We might do that on Friday, but not today. Not today, Kevin Powell.
Gati! 逃したか。